It's not to me. I'd sympathize.
We're on.
Okay, all right. It's time, folks, and I'll call the meeting to order and welcome everyone this evening. Would you like to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Allison, could we get a roll call, please?
Olson.
Here?
Sykes.
Yep.
Bessie Johnson. Here. Rich Kellum.
Here.
Alex Johnson.
Hello.
Coburn.
Here.
Canopa.
Here. Okay, what we have first this evening is a proclamation. And this one, this evening is for Extra Mile Day for November 1st, 2019. Whereas Albany is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And whereas Albany is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas Albany is a community which chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals and organizations within its community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of their community. And whereas Albany acknowledges the mission of Extra Mile America to create 550 Extra Mile cities in America, and it's proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2019. Now therefore I, Sharon Canopa, Mayor of the City of Albany, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2019 to be Extra Mile Day, and urge every individual in the community to take time on this day to not only go the extra mile in his or her own life, but to also acknowledge all those who are inspirational in their efforts and commitment to make their organizations, families, community, country, or world a better place. And witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Albany to be affixed this 23rd day of October 2019. Okay, thank you, folks. And we have been doing that proclamation for quite a few years now, and it's just nice to get that little message out in the community now and then. Okay, so next on our agenda is business from the public. Is there anyone here that would like to bring an item forward to the council this evening? Okay, not seeing anyone. All right. Council, you have some resolutions in front of you. The first one is a resolution on page 6, and this is for the competitive bidding requirements for utility billing. And is Gina?
Diane Wrzinski was going to be here tonight, but she wasn't able to make it. Basically, our contract expired. We need one in order to operate. We didn't want to go out for a full RFP until the Munis UB system was up and going, because we don't want to have to do this 2 times. So this contract would just get us through the implementation of UB Munis software. Patty McInnes is here from Utility Billing and can answer questions if you have those that are related to contract specifics.
Questions?
Question? Is it the same rate that it was before?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you stop sending mine?
No?
Oh, they can stop sending it. You'll still owe it.
I like the online and the auto pay.
Yeah,
It's
the plan
nice.
the plan is to, when the new system comes on board, then Patty and her group are going to go out for an RFP for the new info on the new system.
Okay, all right. Okay, council, you have a resolution on page 6.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, thank you. Thank you, Patty. So, okay, next is accepting right-of-way dedication for Crocker Lane and Gibson Hill traffic. And staff on that one, Stacy? This is on page 18, council. It starts on 16.
This is it right here.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. Construction of the new traffic signal that's planned for the intersection of Gibson Hill Road with Crocker Lane requires that we acquire right-of-way from the two properties that are located on the north side of the intersection. Staff has been working with the owners of the two properties for over a year now. Last month, council approved a right-of-way dedication with the owners of the property on the east side, and staff just recently was able to reach an agreement with the owners of the property on the west side of the intersection. The owner has signed the dedication deed. Council will see the attachment that's included with the council memo. It's not signed. The property owner doesn't want to hand over the signed deed until they receive the check. So this is kind of an unusual circumstance, but staff was able to, in concept, have the property owner agree to either at a title company or at the owner's attorney's office, which is located here in Albany. Our city attorney, Sean, would meet with the owner. He would review the signed dedication deed to make sure that it's been executed properly. And then, assuming council passes the attached resolution, Sean would be able to hand over the check in exchange for the signed right-of-way dedication deed. So staff's recommendation is that council pass the attached resolution. It would be in exchange for the signed deed and in consideration of $46,125. Are there any questions?
Questions?
How was that number arrived at?
So we arrived at a number of $10 per square foot for the right-of-way. There's almost, I think it's 3,000 square feet that we're purchasing from this owner. There's also some significant impacts to their landscaping, and they are going to need to construct a retaining wall, which they wanted to construct themselves. So we estimated the cost of the retaining wall and the landscaping to add that to the actual cost of the property to come up with the number.
To answer my question, thank you.
Who came up with the estimate on the retaining wall?
Ron Irish worked with Chris Sirkluski to come up with that number.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do know this is very needed to be able to have the, streetlight improvements for that area, but I have to say, I've heard from so many people that would still have liked to seen a roundabout there and not have a traffic light, but yeah. But either or, it's definitely needed, so.
Is there a lot of accidents at that intersection?
Not sure, but the way there's so much more development taking place down Crocker and a lot more traffic, and I hear a lot of complaints on traffic, so. That's probably the most complaints I hear citywide when it comes to traffic is from North Albany. So.
Yeah, we do hear from people queuing up on Crocker that have a difficulty turning left onto Gibson Hill.
Well, if they just buy those helicopters, we wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah. Okay, council, there's a resolution on page 18.
I just want to say,
Yeah.
I'm glad you were able to reach an agreement with the property owners, because I know a couple weeks ago, it was in as that we were going to go through the eminent domain, and I just never, I don't believe in that, so I'm so glad you reached a deal with them. So thank you.
Well, that credit goes to Ron Irish. He couldn't make it tonight, but
Okay,
Ron worked really
thanks.
hard.
No, I guess I won't bite my tongue.
Go ahead.
I wish you wouldn't have said that.
Why?
It's not that I don't agree with having a problem with it. It's that when you tell people that you have a problem with it, it's the same thing we did when we were trying to come up with space at the old police station. And several counselors said, we're not going to do eminent domain, and the price of the building, it's not very far away, came close to doubling, as I recall, because they figured they didn't have a problem. I mean, it's, eminent domain is the last thing you want to do,
Yeah.
but
and
it needs to remain in the holster.
I mean, for the
as it
square
were.
footage, I'm sure this is quite a much
I've had my
higher
say,
price
so.
too, but yeah, I understand.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution.
Second.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. Thank you, Stacy.
Thanks.
Okay, or are you the next contract?
Yeah, I think I'm going to cover that.
Okay, you have the next contract, then this would be for Kennedy Jenks Consultants of Portland.
So staff is recommending that council approve an amendment. It's in the amount of $700,385 to the city's contract with Kennedy Jenks Consultants. This is to provide design and construction engineering services for the Albany-Millersburg Water Reclamation Facility Dewatering Improvements Project. The city's current contract that we have with Kennedy Jenks is just for pre-design services. And it was awarded in, I guess, last summer in June 2018. This pre-design effort was needed in order to better define the projects and also come up with the cost estimates in order to budget them in the city's capital improvement program. The pre-design effort was the first step in a two-step process. We used a two-step process in this case because we wanted council to have the ability to review the projects and also approve the design before moving forward and awarding that phase to Kennedy Jenks. The pre-design effort was completed this past spring, and staff did report to the Albany, I guess it's the Joint Water and Wastewater Committee.
Right.
This was in June of 2019, and at that meeting, staff presented the projects that for the watering, dewatering, and composting improvements that were developed during this pre-design effort. The amendment that we are recommending council approve tonight, it would be for the design and construction engineering services for the dewatering improvement project that was discussed during this meeting. We are still in the process of developing or approving, reviewing and approving Kennedy Jenks' scope of work and their design fee for the composting improvement project. We expect that we will be coming in front of council with a report and an amendment probably at the November 20th meeting. We wanted to go ahead and get this phase of the project awarded so that we could get going on the design of the dewatering improvements now. The recommended dewatering improvements, they're going to include replacement of belt filter presses. These were constructed about 20 years ago. I wish Scott LaRock was here, but I know that they are failing. They require a lot of maintenance, and so it's timely that this equipment gets replaced. It will be replaced in the existing buildings that the dewatering equipment right now is housed in. And in addition, there's going to be odor control improvements that will be constructed. Are there any questions?
Do you have an estimate of the total cost of both dewatering and the compost? A rough guess of what the cost is?
Sure, yeah, it's going to be around 7.5 million. I believe that the dewatering improvements was 4.9 million and the composting was 3 million. And that's total project cost, including design.
Okay, so their total fee is around 10 to 12%.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Questions? What would you like to do with this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I went through it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. All right, thank you, Stacy.
Yeah.
All right, next is a adoption of consent calendar, which there's only a few items on there. And if there isn't any items that need to be pulled off this evening, I'll entertain a motion.
I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. All right, we did the first page. Now the back page is staff report. This is the Public Safety Levy Renewal Report, and this starts on page 30. And who would like to take the lead? Gina? Jorge? Who gets the
You want to
first?
start?
I can start. As you know, the public safety levy is coming up for renewal. We are looking at the May, I think it's 19th election date. We have provided information on various rates. The ones that we are looking at is, whether you want to keep the current rate, which is the $1.15 per thousand of assessed value. We've also provided information, everything up to $1.45. Staff's recommendations are either a 10-cent increase or a 20-cent increase, and so we've highlighted those in the report. And it shows down in the memo what that increase would be for different homes of different assessed values. Staff just needs some direction by February, early February, in order to move forward on this if we want to get this in the May election.
Anything
Yeah,
else?
so,
Jorge?
just to note, additional information that Gina provided is what the impact would be to the homeowners in terms of assessed value and the tax that this will translate to for each of these options. And also, if we go with if the council wants to go with a 20 cents increase, that represents about $737,000 coming into the general fund. If the council decides it's going to be 20 cents, that's about $368,000. So that's to give you a ratio there in terms of what each 10 cents would generate for the general fund.
The other thing I will note in this report, though, is that if you notice that the compression percentage of the levy is listed at 11.26%, that's what it was for this year. I have a feeling that's going to increase, so we'll just want to keep that in mind, too. I talked to Andy at the assessor's office, and he thinks that maybe these next year or so will be relatively low compression rates, but he sees them increasing, too.
Mine went up on my house, so the compression rate, so, yeah.
One thing we'll need from council is some direction in terms of which one we bring in as a formal resolution for evaluation during the month of February.
So 20 cents if you want
So,
35.
I'm sorry.
So you want to, when's the last filing deadline? Was it to have everything totally in place?
I believe it's in March.
Okay.
But Mary said that in order to get the resolution done and everything, we would need to have this no later than, I think she said February 3rd would be our drop dead date or close to that for council direction.
In February 3rd or March 3rd?
February 3rd, because we would have to get the resolution in order to file in March.
So we probably should more plan on it in January, just in case we have vacations or something, but.
We would prefer that.
Yeah. Yep, I think that'd be best, but, so council, what would the set rate would end up being, you'd have to like January to totally decide unless you want to decide now what rate to bring, or do you want to leave it open for when it comes in January for maybe a couple resolutions with two different rates on it? How would you like to proceed, Bessie, and then Dick?
Yeah, well, I guess it's, we're discussing all of the different things for, getting income and that, like that revenue. And so I'm wondering, if we do the 10 cents, will that just keep us even with what the chief has on his staff? Or do we need the 20 cents to keep him the same plus give him the positions that are not filled right now?
I believe that, and Mario can come in and speak up to this, I believe that Mario is needing about $1.2 to $1.5 million to cover he's going to be down 8 officers that are positions that are not filled. So he would need just police, like between $1.2 and $1.5 million
And
for this current budget cycle, which is the one that starts in July of 2020.
Okay, I'm a little confused on that.
Yeah,
So,
I am too.
what I'm saying is, will this keep him even if we raise it 10 cents? I mean, he needs a 1 million dollars for the whole thing, or just for what he needs? I mean, I'm a
We're
little
down.
confused.
Easy 20 cents, you're down.
Good evening.
Enlighten me.
The 1.2 million is our shortfall for next year to put us back at the staffing level we were before. Because remember, right now, we currently are down 5 positions. So we're down 3 sworn and 2 non-sworn. And then for next year, we're cutting 2 more positions to make us down a total of 7. So in order to bring us whole again to where we were is about 1.2 million.
And so what, would that be a 30-cent raise then?
That would be, just for a 1.1 million would be a 30 cent.
30 cent raise.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if we can't, I mean,
It'll
if we're
fly
gonna-
like a lead balloon.
But that doesn't take care of fire department too, does it? The increase would not cover fire departments.
What's the fire department need?
What's fire department chief on
They're probably in the similar
the
boat.
next fiscal year?
So you're talking about cutting people that are presently on the force, chief?
No, we did it through retirements. So the 2 that we have forecasted for next year is through retirements. We have 1 currently working back, and we have another that's going to retire in July.
But I mean, if you don't get your 2 million, you'll have less people on the force than you presently have on the force.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
That's not.
And for fire, we're
Okay.
going into next, or this coming fiscal year, this current budget cycle, we're down 3 positions, which is $420,000 to replace those 3 positions. Those 3 positions also act as they assist in cutting overtime so we can maintain our minimum staffing. We had to cut our overtime budget quite a bit to be able to keep our minimum, or to be able to make our budget. So that would probably be about another $200,000 that we would need. So we're probably $620,000. And then as far as our equipment replacement, I know Chief Bradner talked a lot about that. We found other ways through conflagrations to try to generate revenue for our equipment replacement fund. And we have a couple other items that we're working through right now to try to look for some outside revenue sources to assist us with that.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, Dick?
Yes, do our people in Salem take their PERS cut out of this, anything that we raised, out of this levy?
Oh, out of the levy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just all goes into our general fund, that supports all programs, so.
So if
I mean,
they,
this goes into police and fire, but it's part of labor cost. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no cut for PERS. It actually has increased, and there's still I think there's still litigation on what to do to some of the changes that were proposed, but there hasn't been any changes to reduce it at this time. It's continually going up.
so if we increase our levy by a certain amount,
PERS will get
and
some.
PERS is still gonna take a third of that, I would guess.
It's about 36%, 33%.
That's pretty close to a third.
Yeah, that's what PERS is taking. Whether you increase it or not, that's the same rate.
Cost.
Yeah.
They don't take it above and beyond.
No.
That's just part of the cost. That's part of the $620,000.
Right.
We'll have it no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rich?
You had talked before about having a fee on utilities. And one of the arguments that you made for that is that 501c3, 501c5, 501c4s don't pay, so they're not paying for police and fire, even though they're using the system.
Tax
What
exempt.
about, instead of having a levy altogether, just have the fee and send it back out to the people to vote on? I'd like to know what that utility fee would look like if we just did away with it. I mean, did away with the levy and just had a fee on the utilities. That way, you know, and I understand, I love ABC House, but they don't pay for police and fire. And churches don't, but they use the services. I think it would be more fair to have everybody that uses the service pay for it, or at least pay some of it. They still wouldn't pay for it for the rest of the property taxes, but I think it would get someplace. And I guess, is there a way of knowing what that would look like if we just did away with this? Because that's the email that I sent to you.
So Jeff Blaine is planning to come to council November 18th with more information about the public safety or street utility fees. We'll have more information then, because right now we don't really know what our methodology would be. And so we don't know how it would hit individual residences versus businesses, and it's taking a little more effort to get there. We can still go this direction, get that information in November. The other thing we can do is if we take this to an election and we decide we don't want to go this route, or maybe if utilities fees take a little time to come in, you know, it could be 18 months down the road, we can always under levy this. So if we're telling people we want to do this, we can do it.
That's the problem. I mean, what we're doing is we're hitting them everywhere. We're going to hit you in the pocket for your water and your sewer, and new fees for ABCT 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the feeling that I get from my constituents is, you're nailing me everywhere you can nail me. It's not fair, it's not right, you're blah, blah, you know, and the rant continues. I think in order to sell this, so people have to recognize that it's fair. I mean, most people would recognize if you're doing away with something and adding something, even if you're making it bigger because you need more money, it is a fairer way to do that than it is to take it from the little old lady again, or, you know, because the public safety levy is regressive. I mean, it's just like a regular property tax. If you have it, you have a nice house that you've tried to retire into, you get hit just as bad if you have millions of dollars as if you have $12.40. It's just depending on what you're living in. So, I don't know, I'd like to know what people think of that.
Well, so I think that would help November 18th, you know, when we do have the discussion over the utility fees and have that information.
We don't need to have a decision until January or
Right.
early February, so, I mean, there's certainly plenty of time for council to decide the direction they want to take.
Right, so, so you could decide then,
Yeah.
even in November, if you're wanting to increase it or just keep it as status quo. But if we don't increase it at all, then, Gina, we don't need to go out and, well, I guess we like to always have a cushion. Do we still need to go out in May for 2020 when we're good through 2021?
Right, we would
We've
want
always done it a
to,
year ahead to have that cushion.
yes.
But,
And we,
yeah.
you know, depending on what we say in the ballot title, it wouldn't necessarily take effect until, what we've done the last couple of years, that we've started it the same year that it's been renewed by voters.
Yeah.
But we could, you know, wait and do that for fiscal year 2022, starting
Yeah.
fiscal year 22.
Yeah. Okay. Bill, did you have something you were going to say? Or?
Oh, yeah, I agree with Rich. Let's get the numbers, you know, next month and see what it looks like. It'd be interesting to see if an individual homeowner's taxes actually went down. Because
You're funny.
well, you're gonna have more people paying into the pot if it is on the utility bill. And So if you, like
Yeah,
Rich says,
businesses, yeah.
if you do away with the safety levy and you crunch that
Right.
number and you put it on the utility bill, but you have more people paying that, you might find out that your total is a little less. I don't know. I think it's worthy of discussion, and we're gonna be having these discussions, till a year from now. But one of the things that the mayor had suggested was a utility fee, and correct me if I'm wrong, that was 25% library, 25% parks, and 50% safety levy. So that was one option. I had suggested say a $5 fee, whatever the number is. I think it is close to 5 on the utility bill. And it would be dedicated specifically for street maintenance, and that would generate roughly 1.2 million, which is what we had for street maintenance before it was moved into the general fund. So the problem with, not a problem, but, we're juggling all these balls. If we do away with the safety levy and just put a fee on the utility bill, that doesn't address libraries and parks and street maintenance. So we're just kind of going in a circle here.
It could. If you made the utility fee, instead, if we get, $6 million under 1.3 net, if you made an $8 million 1.3 net, that would displace some of the other that you needed. Or if you make it, 9 million under the utility bill. I mean, it's all about putting a package together that people feel good about. Because the way it is, there are a lot of people who think we're attacking them. And, well, it's kind of the way, I don't know, at least a couple of us feel, how the state is attacking us with here, throw mandates at us. I mean, we have the choice that we have, and it's not much. So I think there is a scenario you could use that says more of it, if you said, okay, this is going to be just for public safety, and we'll make public safety whole, or make public safety whole and move some of that back into the general fund to make other people whole. Just kind of depends what it looks like down the road. I mean, you got to, and that doesn't do away with the idea that everybody has to become just as efficient as possible. Because, that's, I think Jeff had said before, it's a good thing to go through every once in a while to see what or the things that we have, wait a minute, we have that one more thing that we've been doing that we don't need to do anymore for some reason.
And I think one of the keys is going to be, the challenges will be to be as transparent as possible with the voters.
Yeah.
And it's not unlike years ago when there was the idea of a sales tax in Oregon. And I heard a lot of people say, I don't have a problem with sales taxes if you do away with property tax or income tax or one or the other. So if we crunch the numbers and say, yeah, we're going to put this on the utility bill, but the safety levy is going to go away, and show them the numbers, I think you have a better chance of success.
Yes.
Question. The utility fee isn't affected by compression, is it?
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
So you've got an 11.6% gain right there because it's not affected by compression.
Yeah. And you have
So
all
you're
those
saying-
people that no longer, that don't pay.
Yeah,
now.
well, you're saving from the top,
Yeah.
11.6%.
2.26, yeah.
And you don't have to go out for a levy every 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
You don't have to wish that it, hope that
Well,
it
it would
passes.
give them stable funding.
Exactly.
Well, but we would still have to, if we decided to change, we would still have to make the recommendation and make that process of changing what the percentage of the fee is as transparent as possible.
Yes.
So would the fee be flat rate for everyone, the same rate, or would it be based on usage, or what would it be based on?
That's one of the methodologies
Yeah.
that Jeff is going to bring back.
Because, I mean, if you're gonna charge somebody that's on a fixed income, 75 years old, $30 a month, and charge a business with 30 employees, $30 a month, I don't have a
No,
problem.
that's, I wouldn't see that happen.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
I would say based on
some
volume.
graduated scale or some
Yeah.
volume number.
We are looking into different methodologies. We're working with a consultant who can tell us what is going to be defensible.
There's also options to consider a low-income type program like we have for water. If you want to do that, it raises everyone else's charge. But, we have that model already established for the drinking water.
But we don't have that with a public safety levy now. I mean, it's pay it or we'll kick you out, the county will kick you out of your house
After 6 years.
eventually. I mean, that's the,
4 years.
6 years.
5, 6?
They
it's
foreclose
5
on
years,
4
and
and
it's
then-
6 years you take it.
So council, are you wanting to just kind of wait on everything now till November 18th, when we kind of start getting some numbers over what the utility, fee would look like? And then that still gives us some time by January to decide on the rate for the levy.
Yeah, that is correct. One of the things that we wanted to do is bring the levy piece of, the information for the levy now, and then on November 18, you'll get the utility piece, and then you can decide how you want to move forward. So you have both to look at.
Well, so the sooner we could have that, even if it was just emailed to us,
The better.
if it's not something that is so complicated that the average person is going to not be able to handle it.
It's very complicated, and it's very complicated to get to the point of having a logical thing to share with you, because, each of these scenarios, and I think there have been at least 4 mentioned, have to be calculated across multiple classes of customers. You have to know your rate target, and so you have to take each scenario across the classes for your various targets of revenue you want to get. This is the kind of work for stormwater. It took us, I think probably 8 or 9 months to do this thing, and Jeff's trying to shove it into, 2 months or so. So it's a lot of
If it were
work.
just a percentage, it's just a percentage of the total. I mean,
But
that's one of the scenarios.
But they've got the groundwork already done. They did it for 8 months.
I'm sure
Anyway,
he'll get it as soon as he can.
She's saying no.
I know.
It'll be done as soon as it can be done, I'm sure, if you know Jeff Blaine.
Have any other cities figured this out?
There are a lot of cities that have public safety funding through a utility-type charge.
That's another piece of data that we've been collecting, and Jeff will provide an example of a few cities close to us as a comparable for a council to take a look at as well.
Yeah.
So are the different cities vastly different, or are they all kind of similar?
There's a lot of options. The consultant we have gave us a short presentation on various public safety utility funding mechanisms that she knew of in the state, and the way they're set up, how the rate is charged by class is different, what metric they're using is different. They can be quite different. So it depends on what the council feels is fair, and also not too administratively burdensome. We talked about this with stormwater. It has to be as equitable as you can be without adding significant additional costs and legally defensible. So
Well, I'm just saying, it'd be nice to not have to reinvent the wheel.
we do not have to reinvent the wheel. That is true.
That's good news.
Yes.
Okay, all right, council, are you okay on waiting till next month?
Yep.
And then in January, we need to make a final decision on the levy.
We need to take up a collection for
Yeah.
chief, so it would say an assistant.
Yeah.
Or you change your name tag.
Or just a piece of black
He
tape.
needs a new
It
jacket.
needs
Thank you,
electrician's
Chief.
tape.
All right. Anything else on this item? Gina, Jorge, anything else on this item?
Thank you.
No,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, next is business from the council. Bessie, anything?
No, nothing. Well, I told Mayor that I'll be gone for the work session before the 18th, so.
On the 4th?
No, I'll be there for the 4th, but the council is on the 18th, so it'd be the one just before that.
There isn't
Oh, there's one?
No, the
Then I won't-
4th is.
Then I
Okay.
won't be missing it. Great.
Okay. And Bill, anything?
Yes, one item. I was approached by a constituent about the possibility of the city vacating a piece of property, and Jorge's going to help me with this. He's passing around a map. It's up on the screen. It's at the end of Washington Street. So if you can see the mouse.
So this is Washington.
Why don't you show them where Jiffy Lube is? Jiffy Lube is 450.
Yeah,
The
this is
property in question is right to the south. It's a vacant warehouse. If it also helps you, across the street is Courtesy Corner to try and orient where you're at.
Oh, okay.
So the piece of property is, that little piece there where the cursor is, it's kind of half Jiffy Lube, half that warehouse. But in talking to Ron Irish, it's considered part of Washington Street. And it's,
What's the number on it, 416 or?
500.
500 is the property in question.
500 right there, okay.
Although it's vacated, it would go to both properties, 450 and 500. But it's one of those odd little pieces, I think, according to Ron Irish, they just soon kind of clean up and get rid of. We did one in front of Golden West Mobile Homes a month or two ago.
So is
There's
it
been others.
ours or the state's jurisdiction?
It's city.
It is city?
It's city property.
But there are all kinds of codicils against it.
I wonder what it was originally, why we would have kept that.
Well, you know, Washington continues on the other side of the tracks, and who knows if it wasn't laid out that
Oh,
it'd be Washington
Years
Street and then the
ago.
railroad came, or who knows?
Well, railroad was there before Washington Street was.
Dick would know, he's old enough.
Yeah. Yeah, they just had riverboats, and I but I do think that Highway 99 probably caused a variety of property movements when it came in. And there was probably part of Washington Street left over that never did get vacated. So what do we have to do to vacate it?
Well, my suggestion would be, if council agrees, would just to be, have staff look into it. Staff might come back and say, no, we don't want to vacate, and then say, here's why.
Yeah.
Or they may say, no, this sounds good to us, and it'd be like the one, I keep saying Golden West, it's a different name now. I can't remember.
Clayton.
You know who you're talking
Clayton
about.
Homes?
Clayton Homes.
No, not Clayton.
Yeah.
So does your constituent want to buy the land, or they just want the land?
Typically, when we vacate it, that's me. Typically, when we vacate, it just goes to the adjacent property, so in this case, it would probably be split.
So
I'm
do they,
looking at
And
Stacy.
that's typically, I think, what we've done in the past, in two considerations, it now goes back on the tax roll. But it also doesn't have to be maintained by the city anymore.
Well, it's not being
Well, I don't
maintained
think
now,
so.
though, is it? It's their parking lot.
I don't think so.
Rich, I really don't know who's been maintaining it, to tell you the truth.
I don't have a problem with the city going after that. I guess I would not want to have the city foot the bill for somebody else getting some land for free.
But that was my question is, if
Is
we
it gonna cost
vacated,
as
then
much
they'd
of
have
anything?
to, there's two different properties there, they'd have to consolidate their property with the two little pieces that they want. And so I would think, hopefully, that they would pay for the consolidation, not
Yeah,
us.
it's gonna,
I'll check, there are fees to get, the new plot, the
Yes.
land plotted
Yes,
correctly
there
if
are.
we do vacate it, but I don't remember what those are, and we can see how that
Okay.
works. We can come back
I
with
mean,
you
I
on
Come
don't
that.
have a
back to us
problem
with-
with it.
Sure, we'll come
Yeah.
back next time.
Sounds good.
That's our goal.
Probably if, just a recommendation from council for staff to bring it back, and I know that Ron Irish has done some preliminary, just high-level look today at this, and there's some pros and cons, but basically, one of the things is that he mentioned that the city does not need that right away. He doesn't see it as something that the city would need, and normally, when we have vacations of right-of-way, it goes back to the original person that provided the right-of-way. So that's things that we need to look into before this moves forward, but if council wants, we can have staff bring it back with all
Fine
this
with me.
information.
I'm fine with that.
Give it back to the Monteith brothers.
If we can find them,
Yeah.
add it to the plot of
Anything
land.
else, Bill?
No, thank you.
Dick, did you have anything?
Grandpa.
No.
No? Okay, Rich, anything?
Actually, a few days ago, a friend of mine was dealing with some titanium, and he dropped a piece and it smashed his finger. And so his finger was, swollen, and we were having lunch, and he says, the finger stopped hurting, but now my arm hurts. Really? It woke me up. I said, you better go to the doctor. Well, he went to the doctor, his arm was infected somehow because of it. And he went through one night, and they put him in the hospital the next day, put him on intravenous penicillin or, antibiotics to get rid of it. And he's all better now, but anyway, it's one of those, need to be a little careful and pay attention to the signs, because sometimes they're a little onerous. Doctor said, well, it was bad enough that they put him in the hospital over an infection that was 3-4 days before.
Wow.
So, anyway, turning out right. That's all I had.
All right, Alex?
But I don't think you can blame the titanium.
Well, I think you can blame the titanium for being heavy enough to smash his finger.
Well, yeah. If it had been lead, it would have smashed a lot worse. Same size.
Alex?
Monday, Rebecca, Lisa, and a few others, Kim Ledane, met with USA Softball about the potential opportunities to bring youth softball, girls fast pitch to Albany. So we're preparing some dates and opportunities for them to give us a proposal on what that would look like. So it's a pretty promising meeting. And I want to thank Rebecca and Lisa for being there in attendance. It was a very enlightening conversation, and hopefully we'll have some good news in a few months to share with everyone.
Very good. Okay, great.
I have nothing.
Nothing?
I have one more thing.
Okay.
So we spoke the other night about Lynn Bend Community College having their chambers for titanium welding. They contacted me today to get a hold of the people that have
Oh, good.
the used ones, so.
Good.
In process.
Good.
Okay. The only thing I had is a reminder, we have the Veterans Day Parade coming up. So that would, let's see,
November 11th.
Let's see, we've just got one council meeting just before that parade, so I wanted to remind you that we do have the trolley reserved.
That's the one I'm gonna miss. I knew I was gonna miss something.
So I don't have to be in the
Parade, it's
parade?
on a Monday
Yeah.
this year, on the 10th.
I got all the drivers in the parade.
Okay. So everyone, let me know then for sure if you're going to be there. It'll be the same staging area. We've already gotten that list, and that would be just on Jackson Street. And then if we can be there by 10 to get things decorated and
Brother Jail.
ready to go. So, but it's on a Monday morning this year. So not on a Saturday, but, okay. All right, so let me know who all wants to go on the parade, and I'll dig out all the signs. But, and then Alex will get a sign made for you, because you weren't on, unless you
Really
were
don't
on
have
last
to.
year. So we'll get a.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but every year, the last 5 years, I relieved Mark McNabb of his duties of getting the cars and the drivers matched with the veterans, and I do that in every parade. And so I didn't know I had to be in a parade, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry.
You're through
Yeah.
it pretty quickly.
Okay.
Well, I
Or
think,
100 or something like that.
so Patty can probably find somebody.
No,
to
we've already
drive
got, the
it
cars,
along.
they're all done, it's just that
Yeah,
I'm behind the scenes kind of guy, so.
yeah, so, well, think about it, so, yeah.
No, I'll do
We're
it.
going to embarrass the heck out of you.
I know.
Yeah.
Got my
Okay,
Navy hat.
so that's it that I have, Jorge?
The only thing I have is Peter is flying over tonight. He took a 5:20 flight and going through Seattle, so he should be here later tonight, joining us tomorrow. We are having phone interviews for the police chief position. We have 15 candidates we're going to be video interviewing tomorrow, so that process starts tomorrow.
How many?
15 people are going to be interviewed tomorrow. 15.
5-0 or 1-5?
1-5.
Oh,
Wow.
That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and he has an event too tomorrow. We've got the LBL Awards. So that's tomorrow night. That starts at 5 or 6
Oh,
o'clock.
okay, yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
there.
He's going to have a busy day.
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah. I know he plans on attending. Okay. That's it? Staff have anything else?
Just a reminder that,
Uh-huh.
and maybe it's not even a reminder, but it's news. We have the second community conversation with the city manager scheduled for Tuesday, November 19th, 6 o'clock at Sedici's South Side.
Cedici South, okay. Yeah, I did
That's
have
over my
somebody
house.
had mentioned about the next one, if it could be at the library so they could hear better. So,
That's over my
yeah,
house.
but that
Over my
shouldn't,
house.
that's usually a private
Place where they can
room
have
in
beer.
there.
Right.
That's good.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it'll be,
is that
it'll
on
be easier to hear.
53rd Street, you say?
It's on Belmont.
Yeah, 7-Eleven over
It's
there.
it's walking distance from my house.
Not very far from the offending culverts.
That's true. Right outside.
It's not offending
Is that it?
anymore.
Anything else? All right, so our next meeting would be Monday, November 4th. This time it's going to be the first week of November because of the holiday week, month. And that'll be work session, and then that evening is going to be a joint meeting over amendments, ADC amendments, and then Wednesday, November 6th. So with that, thank you folks for attending, and we're adjourned.